Welcome back to BMB Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the explosive confrontations and relationship turmoil brewing in the world of Bold and Beautiful. The drama is heating up on The Bold and the Beautiful, with relationships being tested and tensions reaching a boiling point. Monday's episode promises to deliver intense confrontations and surprising twists that will leave fans on the edge of their seats. Relationship turmoil and unexpected alliances. Carter Walton finds himself caught in a whirlwind of emotions as he navigates the complicated triangle involving Hope Logan and Daphne Rose. What started as a simple request from Hope for Carter to send Daphne back to Paris has evolved into something far more complex. Carter initially agreed with Hope's assessment that Daphne should return to Paris, but something has changed in his perspective. The tension between Hope and Daphne has reached unprecedented levels, with both women refusing to back down. Hope, feeling threatened by Daphne's presence, is adamant about seeing her leave Los Angeles immediately. However, Daphne has found an unexpected ally in Carter, who seems to be reconsidering his position. Carter's indecision places him directly in the crossfire of this heated conflict. His upcoming reaction will surprise everyone involved, potentially creating even more division. Will he ultimately side with Daphne, contradicting his earlier stance? Or will the pressure become too overwhelming, causing him to distance himself from both women? The emotional toll of being torn between these strong personalities is evident on Carter's face as he contemplates his next move. The evolution of Carter's dilemma. Carter's history of romantic complications continues to follow him. His tendency to become entangled in complex emotional situations has become something of a pattern. This latest development with Hope and Daphne represents yet another chapter in his tumultuous love life. The chemistry between Carter and Daphne has been undeniable since her arrival from Paris. Their connection has blossomed from casual acquaintances to something potentially deeper, much to Hope's dismay. Hope's insistence on Daphne's departure stems not just from territorial concerns but from a genuine belief that Daphne's presence disrupts the delicate balance of relationships in Los Angeles. The Spencer Mansion showdown. Meanwhile, at the Spencer Mansion, a confrontation of epic proportions is unfolding. Steffy Forrester, fueled by rage and a sense of betrayal, has arrived to confront Bill Spencer about his decision to house Luna Nozawa under house arrest at his residence. The tension in the Spencer living room is palpable as Bill attempts to defuse Steffy's anger. His efforts to explain the dangerous prison conditions that threaten Luna's life fall on deaf ears. Steffy remains unconvinced, viewing Bill's intervention as preferential treatment for someone who deserves to be behind bars. Luna, grateful for Bill's protection, defends his actions vehemently. She credits him with saving her life by removing her from a perilous prison environment where she faced constant attacks. This revelation adds another layer to the already complex situation, but does little to sway Steffy's position. The security concerns. Steffy's objections extend beyond the principle of justice to practical security concerns. She expresses deep skepticism about the effectiveness of an ankle monitor in containing someone she considers extremely dangerous. In her view, Luna's comfortable accommodations at the Spencer Mansion represent not just an injustice but a potential threat to public safety. Bill's decision to intervene in Luna's incarceration has created ripples throughout the community. His motivations remain somewhat mysterious. Is this act of charity driven by genuine concern, or does Bill have ulterior motives? His history of complex machinations makes his current benevolence suspect in the eyes of many, particularly Steffy. Finn's growing anxiety. Away from the immediate confrontation, Dr. John Finn Finnegan grapples with mounting anxiety about the state of his marriage. His decision to inform Steffy about Luna's whereabouts was made with honesty in mind, but the consequences have been severe. As he waits for news about the confrontation at the Spencer Mansion, Finn's mind races with worst-case scenarios. He fears that Steffi's already considerable anger will escalate further after her confrontation with Bill and Luna, potentially causing irreparable damage to their relationship. The marital strain. The strain on Steffi and Finn's marriage has been building gradually. What began as differences in opinion has evolved into fundamental disagreements about principles and priorities. Finn's commitment to transparency collided with Steffi's need for justice, creating a rift that continues to widen. Upcoming episodes suggest that this conflict is far from resolved. In fact, predictions indicate that Steffi and Finn will face even greater challenges in maintaining their relationship. The foundation of trust that once seemed unshakable now appears increasingly fragile. The ripple effects. The current conflicts extend beyond the immediate participants, affecting the broader community of Los Angeles. The divisions created by Luna's situation and Daphne's presence have forced many to choose sides, straining long-standing friendships and alliances. As Monday's episode unfolds, viewers can expect dramatic confrontations, surprising revelations, and potentially game-changing decisions. The Bold and the Beautiful continues to deliver compelling storylines that explore the complexities of human relationships, the pursuit of justice, and the sometimes blurry line between right and wrong. The coming weeks promise to be a roller coaster of emotions as these storylines develop further. Will Steffi and Finn find a way to reconcile their differences? Can Carter navigate the complicated dynamics between Hope and Daphne without causing further harm? And what are Bill's true intentions regarding Luna? Next, we will learn about the issue of Carter's complicated romantic entanglements and Hope's hypocritical reaction to his indiscretion. Hope's hypocrisy reaches new heights. The evolution of Hope Logan's character over the past decade and a half has been nothing short of remarkable, and not in a positive way. The once innocent, morally upright young woman who graced our screens in 2010 would be utterly aghast at the person she's become in 2025. The transformation has been so dramatic that longtime viewers can't help but wonder what catalyzed such a fundamental shift in her core values and behavior patterns. When confronted with Carter's momentary indiscretion with Daphne, Hope's righteous indignation reached fever pitch. "Why am I standing here with that same bitter taste of betrayal in my mouth?" she demanded, her voice trembling with emotion that seemed almost manufactured given her own romantic history. The irony of her moral outrage is so thick you could cut it with a knife, this coming from a woman whose relationship with Carter only exists because she betrayed Liam by passionately kissing Thomas Forrester. What makes Hope's sanctimonious stance particularly galling is that her transgression with Thomas wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment or a surprise kiss she didn't initiate. No, it was the culmination of months of explicit fantasizing about a man who once tormented her psychologically. The same man who obsessed over her to the point of creating a lifelike mannequin in her image. Yet somehow, in Hope's distorted moral universe, Carter's single kiss with Daphne constitutes an unforgivable betrayal. The writers have missed a golden opportunity to provide context for Hope's dramatic personality shift. How fascinating would it have been to attribute her increasingly manipulative and self-serving behavior to her sharp genetics finally asserting themselves? Imagine the compelling storyline of Deacon, her reformed criminal father, trying to pull her back from the brink of becoming the very thing he spent years trying not to be. But alas, the show has offered no such psychological depth to explain the bewildering evolution of Hope Logan. Carter's confession and Hope's confrontation. In a rare display of immediate accountability in the soap opera world, Carter wasted no time in seeking out Hope to confess his indiscretion. The kiss with Daphne was barely over, her lipstick possibly still smudged on his mouth, when he determined that honesty was the only path forward. His decision was informed by an acute awareness of Hope's troubled history with unfaithful partners, A consideration that speaks to a level of emotional intelligence often lacking in bold and beautiful male characters. "I know, I saw everything." Hope's thunderous revelation stopped Carter in his tracks. The confession he'd been preparing to deliver was rendered moot by her first-hand witness of his momentary weakness. Rather than slinking away after observing the kiss, as most soap characters might do to prolong the inevitable confrontation, Hope had apparently chosen to process her emotions before confronting Carter. During their heated exchange, Hope questioned whether Carter was attempting to deflect blame onto Daphne rather than accepting responsibility for his actions. "Had you led her on?" she demanded, her eyes narrowing with suspicion. The accusation struck at Carter's integrity, the very quality he had emphasized distinguished him from Hope's previous romantic partners. Carter's protestations that he was different from the other men in Hope's life now rang hollow in her ears. The bitter taste of betrayal she described was familiar, a recurring flavor in her romantic history. Yet the audience is left wondering if Hope's reaction is proportionate to the offense or if it's colored by her own guilt projected onto Carter's comparatively minor transgression. Daphne's mysterious agenda revealed. In a puzzling turn of events that left viewers scratching their heads, Daphne Rose casually mentioned to Carter that she had completed her goal and should therefore return to Paris. This careless admission was tantamount to a villain monologuing their entire scheme, except Daphne isn't even off the stage yet. Her cryptic statement practically waved a red flag in front of Carter, yet remarkably, he failed to register the suspicious nature of her words. The question hangs in the air like Daphne's lingering perfume: what exactly was her goal? The obvious answer lies in the ongoing power struggle at Forrester Creations. Until the company is firmly back in Steffi's control, Daphne's mission to influence Carter remains incomplete. One kiss hardly constitutes mission accomplished in the complex world of corporate espionage and manipulation. Daphne's strategy appears half-baked at best. If she were truly committed to her covert operation, she would recognize that her work has only just begun. Carter's position as a key player in the FC power structure means that cultivating a deeper relationship with him would be essential to ensuring Steffi's eventual triumph. The premature declaration of her intention to leave suggests either amateur-level scheming or a script that hasn't been fully thought through. In a classic soap opera twist that dates back to the genre's radio days, Daphne has committed the cardinal sin of falling for her mark. Her private admission that she's developed genuine feelings for Carter introduces a compelling complication to her mission. Now torn between her loyalty to whoever deployed her, presumably Steffi, and her growing affection for Carter, Daphne finds herself in the quintessential soap opera predicament: a schemer whose heart betrays her head. Zen's untimely interruption. Just as Daphne was deep in contemplation about her unexpected feelings for Carter, Zen Forrester Dominguez appeared, shattering her moment of emotional clarity with business talk. His suggestion that she create a signature scent for Hope for the future, one that would complement the line's environmentally conscious ethos, couldn't have been more poorly timed or less interesting to Daphne in that moment. The irony of Zend proposing that Daphne create something for Hope's fashion line while she's secretly working against Hope's interests adds another layer of complexity to the already tangled web of alliances and betrayals. The suggestion itself is actually quite sensible from a business perspective. A custom fragrance would enhance the brand identity of Hope for the future and potentially open new revenue streams. However, Daphne's distracted dismissal of the idea reveals just how far her priorities have shifted from her ostensible role as a perfume expert to her clandestine mission and newfound emotional entanglement. Zend, perpetually on the periphery of the main action, remains oblivious to the romantic and corporate machinations swirling around him. His well-intentioned business proposal serves primarily to highlight how disconnected he is from the true dynamics at play. As one of the few Forresters not actively engaged in company politics at the moment, his focus on creative collaboration stands in stark contrast to the scheming that dominates the storylines of his relatives and colleagues. Carter's guilt-driven decision-making. Carter Walton appears to operate under a peculiar psychological principle. When feeling guilty about one action, immediately take another action that will generate fresh guilt. This pattern of behavior suggests a man who has never properly processed his past transgressions and instead accumulates new ones in a misguided attempt to distract from or atone for previous mistakes. The catalyst for Carter's latest lapse in judgment came from an unexpected source, Daphne's flattering assertion that he was a better man than the one who tricked Ridge and Steffi into giving up control of FC. These words, intended to stroke his ego and lower his defenses, worked with remarkable efficiency. In the twisted logic that only exists in soap operas, Carter interpreted this compliment as permission to engage in precisely the kind of behavior that would prove Daphne wrong. When reflecting on his moral failings to Daphne, Carter cryptically mentioned, "I've struggled with doing what's right in the past." For longtime viewers, this immediately evokes memories of his passionate affair with Quinn Fuller while she was married to Eric Forrester. Prior to that scandal, Carter had maintained a reputation as one of the few ethically uncompromised characters on the canvas. His affair with Quinn marked a turning point, transforming him from the show's moral compass to a man whose principles bend under the weight of desire. Carter's loose-lipped syndrome, as it might be diagnosed, has evolved from a one-time symptom to a chronic condition. His inability to resist romantic temptation has become a defining character trait, one that threatens to undermine the professional reputation he's worked so diligently to build. As Forrester Creations' legal counsel and occasional executive, his personal entanglements increasingly compromise his business judgment. The psychological complexity of Carter's character lies in this contradiction, a man who values honesty and integrity yet repeatedly finds himself in situations that challenge those very values. His immediate impulse to confess to Hope suggests he hasn't completely abandoned his moral core, but his initial failure to resist temptation indicates that his ethical foundation has significant cracks. The broader implications for Forrester Creations. The romantic entanglements and betrayals currently playing out between Carter, Hope, and Daphne exist against the backdrop of ongoing power struggles at Forrester Creations. The company has always been more than just a fashion house, it's the gravitational center around which all characters orbit, the prize for which they scheme and maneuver. Daphne's apparent mission to influence Carter on behalf of Steffi represents just the latest salvo in the never-ending battle for control of FC. The fact that she's using romantic manipulation rather than business acumen or legal strategy speaks to the show's preference for personal drama over corporate intrigue. Yet the stakes remain significant. Whoever controls Forrester Creations effectively controls the economic destiny of nearly every character on the canvas. Carter's position as both legal counsel and occasional executive makes him a particularly valuable pawn in this chess game. His professional judgment directly impacts company decisions, and his personal relationships with various Forresters and Logans give him insight into family dynamics that could be exploited. Daphne's targeting of Carter is therefore strategically sound, even if her execution leaves something to be desired. Hope's fashion line, Hope for the Future, represents her stake in the Forrester empire. Any threat to her relationship with Carter potentially weakens her position within the company, especially given the tenuous nature of her professional standing following recent design controversies. The personal betrayal she feels is thus amplified by potential professional consequences, another layer of complexity in the ever-evolving power dynamics at FC. As these personal dramas continue to unfold, viewers are left to wonder how they will ultimately impact the corporate landscape. Will Steffi regain full control of Forrester Creations through Daphne's manipulation of Carter? Will Hope's emotional reaction to Carter's indiscretion jeopardize her fashion line? And where does Ridge stand in all of this, as the nominal head of the company whose leadership is constantly undermined by family infighting? The Bold and the Beautiful continues its tradition of blending romantic entanglements with corporate intrigue, creating a rich tapestry of human drama that keeps viewers coming back for more. As Carter, Hope, and Daphne navigate their complex relationships, the future of Forrester Creations, and by extension, the entire B&B universe, hangs in the balance. Stay tuned for more updates as these compelling storylines continue to develop, revealing new layers of deception, desire, and the never-ending quest for power in the glamorous world of high fashion.